Welcome back to TSM versus Immortals. As you're watching the games today, make sure to jump on Twitter and share your answers to our question of the day. Which team has made the best offseason roster change and why? Make sure to use the hashtag NALCS, and we'll check in with your answers after the show during the NALCS tonight. Now, Xmithie also makes a good case for this if you obviously are going to be tweeting in, but he is in our game today, so let's talk about Xmithie.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really good game up until the kicking a taunting Galio into 3 members of your teams. He did get them off to a very good start, though, and it was part of the reason why we saw Pobelter have such a good game as well. Pobelter, by the way, 13 KDA on that Ahri, 30% kill participation, and 447 damage per minute, so definitely a strong performance from him. We talked about the other components of playmaking in that team now that really brought it together. And this game just kind of made people realize, oh yeah, you know, with TSM's 2-0 victory over Cloud9, people kind of jumped ahead and they're like, oh, Doublelift is back.
It's in.
Back to that exact same team back from last year. However, you know, it's still a recent reacquisition, right? And they obviously talked about their own, you know, rust, quote unquote, that they have. So they're still working through some things and definitely have improvements to make as well. Very excited to see how the rest of this game does play out.
And just a little bit to speak to that in the communication sense, they're formulating another way to communicate once again. Obviously going back to something they used before, but finding that again. Here, Xmithie is injected in. He's saying, listen to these, and everybody's kind of following those calls. So it's not really a mixed voice, as it were, on TSM.
Seems to be working out pretty well for Immortals.
Looks confident.
All right, getting down that pick bands for number 2. TSM might want to get, you know, some more proactive initiation for themselves. The Ash Arrow was basically their main engage as far as starting off fights.
That first pick.
Olaf and Galio are great charging forward if there's something there to hold people in place. But they weren't able to find too many of the hits with the Ash Arrows and were picked apart pretty well in the early game.
I did like the first composition from TSM. It looks super scary. You get hit with that combo, and over again, you wouldn't be able to touch it. The pick composition of Immortals was able to kind of find their way under the skin of TSM in the early game. And Xmithie's Lee Sin, we saw doing a bit of work here to get Flame going in the beginning, stop that Fiora, which actually we haven't seen Haunter on as of late too much, but also stopping that split push that could have been very, very big for TSM. Just waiting to hop into champion select for this one. Again, looking at the bot lane, Bard may be a factor here for TSM to look at, as Ole was actually grabbing Thresh bans yesterday as well, or a few days ago in their games. We've seen a bit of that coming back out, but playmakers from the support again is gonna be
and one of the reasons I like it so much is it's difficult to ban all of the playmaking supports out, right? Because there is so much variation. Thresh hasn't even shown up yet. Bard, Rakan, you know, there are so many options there if you do want to go that route. And Ole definitely demands some respect on the Bard now. Take a look at jumping right into it, though. Not too much variation so far. LeBlanc has been standard on blue. Same for Zach on red. Pretty much all the ones that we expected in game number 1 ended up coming through. I don't expect a huge change. They are at least going to take out that Shen, which definitely proved very effective for Immortals in snowballing their lead.
Tahm Kench as well.
That definitely signals to me that Immortals want to go for more playmaking and more picks. Tahm Kench is really good at denying a lot of the initiations that we're used to seeing from other supports. And Biofrost had a very good Tahm Kench game versus Cloud9 in number 2 of their series. So good ban there from Immortals, targeting Bio, targeting that bottom lane, and safety.
That Tahm and that Lulu that Biofrost played. So we'll see what they decide to go with this game. Last ban, phase 1 for Immortals. What do they decide to go with here? Already got the Zac out of the way. We saw Ivern in phase 2 last time. Not as big as he used to be. Maybe even the Lee Sin here, so Svenskeren can't get it to start things off. It's actually going to be the Taliyah as they're ready for that to come out.
It looks like, they're kind of taking the initiative in taking away some of those more proactive picks that we thought might come through from TSM this time. Taliyah, big on the roaming, obviously, and pushing in the wave early. So they're denying a possible tool for Bjergsen to get more involved.
Aurelion Sol is hovered, but the Caitlyn is taken, a ban from last game that neither AD carry was able to use, and now they get that for double lift.
All right, double on Caitlyn. Another one of the champions they had a very good performance on already. Scales very well right now. Also, the Hurricane still stacking headshots works for her. It's just very, very potent at the moment because she can push turrets so quickly and because she scales so well into the cheaper crit items that were changed in the recent patch.
Take a jungler, give a jungler, take your support, not show too much. And the Elise left up on this one. Both junglers actually getting a little bit of that. Smithy actually having some great games on the Elise and the Gragas recently.
Yeah, it's actually surprising that they don't go for the lock-in here. Elise has been super highly prized. Early Renekton pick, though, coming from Flame. I mean, there's not a lot that can really punish Renekton. Very strong laner, even on the current patch. Kled does fine into him, but it's not like it's a hugely advantageous lane for him. Regardless, though, I do expect, even though they didn't lock in that Elise early, I do expect Immortals to go for some more pick in their composition due to the Tahm Kench ban that they showed pretty early there. Svenskeren, though, on one of his main champions, Lee Sin. He has had quite a few highlights on it. And not going to let Smithy grab that one up again.
Go back to that Lulu support, a little more safety coming in for double lift. And we are all over the place with picks here in the start of the beginning phase. We'll see how IMT decides to end it out. It's going to actually be that Syndra takeaway. 10 seconds left if they lock it in from Bjergsen.
I like it right before the second phase of ban, so they can ban out, the Fizz or the Echo or whatever they're scared of Bjergsen running into the Syndra to try and get those early kills or assassinate her. Couple extra mid lane bans I do expect coming from Immortals in their second phase here. Meanwhile, TSM did lock in that classic combination, Lulu plus Caitlyn. Really good scaling for the late game, even after the nerfs. If they can get through that laning phase, and the laning phase itself is very strong. We already saw them beat C9's duo with it. Here come the mid lane bans, Ahri number 1. And Thresh already, as far as playmaking supports that we listed off before.
To see. So they do go with the Fizz, really targeting Bjergsen here. 4, if you count the Syndra takeaway against Bjergsen this game from the red side of Immortals.
Yeah, no surprise there. Want to take out the stronger of the assassins here in mid lane. Echo is still an option that you can run into the Syndra. We haven't seen a tremendous amount of it from Bjergsen, but he definitely does play it. Plays it fairly well. So it's still an option on the table for them. They could also just go for control mage matching, since they do have, good late game team fighting already with the Caitlyn, backed up by the Lulu.
Have the Vlad down the list for him, if anything. It really gets tight. Cody Sun with 10 seconds left here. The one pick before we see how TSM finalizes their composition. And they take away the next shield in that composition, Karma for Immortals.
Denying the double shields here to try and protect Caitlyn, Karma or Lulu. Could go mid technically, but especially after the nerfs, I think Lulu's pretty much a support. So mostly, yeah, good takeaway there from Bjergsen. And you're talking about the number of mid lane focus bans.
Why not?
Doesn't matter, I guess. He could go right back to it. This is still flexible until their second pick, which doesn't really matter because we don't get anything in between.
I'm intrigued for 20 seconds. What could happen?
See what they stick Hauntzer on here, or if he's going to be the one in the top side versus Renekton. The Galio versus Renekton, he just kind of tries to wave clear. Not going to be the case, though, and he'll run the Rumble. This one is definitely going to attract some jungler attention. Rumble versus Renekton, that one can swing pretty heavily. If Renekton gets early kills and can get to an early Hex Drinker, that gets very difficult for Rumble to actually stay in lane against, and then he has to look for more team fights with his Equalizer, but Svenskeren is on that Lee Sin, so a lot of early playmaking possible.
Back to the Gragas after seeing what kind of composition they'll be working with. It was an Elise hover in the first 1-2 for IMT here, but they decide dispersing the fight, breaking it up as TSM's going to be diving in would be a little bit better. 40 seconds on the clock for the coaches to discuss what will be happening with these compositions. Obviously, the players know, but the extra bit of advice is always nice.
It really is. And as much as people sometimes make fun of the coaches, some of the biggest differences have been when the team goes into the game with that clear game plan as far as your early jungle route, which lane is going to push, who's going to help you with your invade.
Right.
Those things can really determine the early game.
If X happens, do this just for the first few routes to get the game going, and then it's up to the shot callers, being Xmithie on one side, Bjergsen and Doublelift on the other. Obviously, as Bjergsen said, it's always good to have a voice from everybody on the team if they can give it. Everybody at that caliber of play, because information is good. Vision is power, information is power. It's all power. You gotta be powerful, Kobe. Power overwhelming. Hashtag TSM win, hashtag Immortals win. We are heading into game number 2, and Immortals looking confident for the game 1 win.
Yeah, let's see if this will be the classic TSM turnaround, or if Immortals can get an upset victory here and finish off the series. Crowd is definitely behind TSM.
Slightly hovering, but almost not enough. See, in the weeks to come, I feel like that chant will get much louder, especially with the result of the game we are about to see. Here we go, TSM versus Immortals. We are on the Rift. We have switched sides, and we'll see who can get the W on this one. Bit of a mix-up as well. Flame now back on that aggression. Haunter from Fiora to Rumble. Still going to put out some power from the top lane, but like we said, maybe a little more focus from Svenskeren there that time instead of Xmithie to start things off.
Yeah, definitely true. So actually, I haven't watched the Rumble Renekton matchup when Doran's shield has been added to the mix. So it might be a little bit less volatile considering all the extra healing that you do get from that.
Flame's happy about it.
Still definitely tiltable by the junglers, though. And Xmithie on one of the classics here for himself, the Gragas. Definitely capable of level 3 plays as well. All right, who's going to make the call for the early Wraith Ward? Xmithie's got his defensive one up. But TSM might make the call to run right past it anyways.
Doublelift decide and go Doran's Blade. Get a little more damage with help picks as well.
Yeah, I feel like Caitlyn is the AD carry still that will not build shield. Everyone else has been converted to shield, but since Caitlyn has that extra long range and wants to make the most of it, and her harassment with those autos, still sticking to the old blade. Shield definitely does help out Cody Sun and all other AD carries that are non-Caitlyn players.
Ooh, that's nice. And a few extra hits on the outer one. Good guy, Pobelter. That's that historical teamwork from these two. That's what you look for.
The old CLG members back together again.
Getting it down to a T as they help each other out with cams. Already the back and forth, the support wars going on. A few autos from Doublelift's range are able to find Cody Sun.
Ooh, Biofrost gets the dodge though.
We can call each other out on skill shots here. Ole now has control of the brush though. Get it, it's like a cafeteria fight, throwing food at each other.
It's funny also to watch just because both of them, oh, he misses the mantra cube! That's the big one!
You see how much aggression they take just off of that.
Yeah. You also do aim for minions though, by the way, to help with that push for the level 2s. I mean, it's actually funny too to count if they can actually wait so long before damaging that their Spell Thief gets to max stacks and they lose out. Doublelift here actually goes to kill the Blast Cone, but Xmithie's there!
Doublelift down to 200 HP. The heal is there, uses it back to 100 now. A few more shots. One left from Cody Sun. First blood onto Doublelift, and Biofrost running for his life.
So one of the most common things we see is duo lanes that get the push move up to kill that Blast Cone, but it was so late. Xmithie that was already there and jumps on the situation. Doublelift goes down for first blood, getting Cody Sun off to a great start. Lots of summoners blown down there, but mid lane is the next focus.
Bjergsen hovering top side. Xmithie chooses to route inward, so he doesn't find what would be Svenskeren in the jungle, but he may do so already, seeing that his top side is taken. Bjergsen could follow him in for this kill. Xmithie got himself into a pretty scary situation, but has that body slam over the wall.
Yeah, I like it there. Svenskeren tries to block off the wall standing in front of Xmithie, so if he tried to body slam over, it would just get knocked up. Here's another look at that blast cone kill. Perfect timing there for Xmithie, and he does not hesitate. Lands the flash there. If Doublelift was going to get away, he would have had to flash super early to deny that body slam flash, which, you know, maybe you could say was necessary.
The Ignite 2 on Cody-san in lane. Biofrost was 1v1ing, so kill pressure lost as well there for Biofrost in this trade. Scryer's bloom from Ole as he returns in lane. Bjergsen teleports back in. Should have that back up before anything too crazy happens on the map. And Immortals start things off pretty hot once again with the help of Xmithie.
Yeah. Despite that first blood, though, gold is still very close.
Yep.
Up on the top side, Hauntzer got a very sizable lead for himself this early in the game. In the Rumble matchup, let me check on how many extra minions are. There actually aren't too many extra ones for Flame to pick up here and even up those numbers. So Hauntzer going to hold on to this lead, and he's pressuring well with Rumble early on. Again, until the Hex Drinker comes in for Nectin, it's a little touchy. Xmithie, though.
Almost getting that kill. Pobelter low on mana, so he knows he's safe to toy around with Xmithie. Svenskeren playing very sound in his mechanics there.
Yeah, trying to work off some power around the mid lane. Galio's pushing in on Pobelter, so Bjergsen should be able to get another wave into this turret and deny some minions. Svenskeren takes that opportunity to slot in behind Flame. Try and work off of both winning solo lanes.
That's what we expected to see. Flame always having a sixth sense about this, but he may not be able to Ruthless Predator down. Slice and dice immediately. He wastes a Q on Ruthless Predator.
And, well, let's go over the mechanics here as well, because you want to get your point blank slice and dice off. So he stuns him in place, does get the, you know, empowered Q, but stuns him in place just long enough so you are on top of the champion model for the enemy that's ganking you, but he's not damaging you. So you can get your slice off in the same direction that you want to get your dice off. As long as your champion models are touching, you get both charges there, and Flame is able to save his flash.
Resolve onto Biofrost. It should be a good trade between the AD carries. Svenskeren not waiting at all. Flashes are down in the bot lane for Cody-san. Minions are there. Now the Q is blocked. He's waiting to get around. Flash in, gets the Q. Take it all the way home. He says, we have the shields. Let's make the deal.
Oh my goodness, he waits just long enough too. The cooldown comes back up on Safeguard. He had used it to get into position off that ward by Tribush. And a pretty clean kill there for our TSM as Svenskeren able to go under the turret, draw out the Ignite from Ole as well in the process. And the bottom lane strikes back. So Svenskeren moves up, getting around that side. Remember, it was on cooldown here, so I was thinking he was going to smite that minion and go for the long Q, but he doesn't even chance it. He just goes for the E-flash there, gets the kill after waiting. Dashes back out on his Safeguard.
Not much you can do about that, except try and make your own plays. Svenskeren doing a nice job of getting in and out on that one. Let's see if he can keep the fire rolling here as they head towards mid lane. Pobelter gets, I was going to say, baited into another fight there, but the minion wave a little too big. And they're just going to back off. Seems like Bjergsen didn't want the full fight. A lot more.
Pretty good CS advantages for TSM here. Both of their side lanes as well. In addition to Bjergsen, you know, constantly pressuring mid lane and keeping Pobelter under his turret, TSM pretty much have all pushing lanes to work with here to open up space for Svenskeren.
Also helps that Svenskeren, a good early game, knows the lanes are winning, can do things like this with the rest of the team here. They don't have too much vision past what they're doing. And Xmithie could be the one to change this fight up. Bjergsen now getting pinched in by the rest. They're under a turret, but they want the fight anyways. They can take out Cody-san immediately. A lot of the DPS and only one person tanking the turret means this scenario turns safe after looking like it could be troublesome.
Right, that was a big kill, so they got some money, but unless TSM continue to pressure in and can actually take the turret, it's not the biggest of losses for Immortals, so TSM are sticking around. They want to capitalize on first turret gold.
As well, if they can get anything else out of Immortals that makes this Mountain Drake a little bit easier. But it seems like too much was wasted on the attempt. Top lane push for the teleport down for Hauntzer. We'll see how that ends up after seeing this one more time.
They do get this kill on Cody-san, but look at this. They are planning on using all resources on this play before they even pull it off. So Bjergsen in there with the flash. Hauntzer also teleporting. All 5 members down here. And they do get the kill. But, you know, Flame shoves in top, and Immortals are able to defend for now. It does heavily weaken the bottom turret, though. And you still have to keep in mind the possibility of trying to go for a big play there in order to get first turret gold.
It's actually something Immortals was doing very well yesterday, even in lane swaps at 7 minutes in the game, lowering turrets, prepping them to be taken down, and they would get these consecutive fights that would just snowball for them. This game kind of getting a taste of their own medicine in that early turret trade here, if it can go down for TSM.
Those CS leads are going to start to turn into items as well. Combat power for TSM.
Oh, over the wall. That's going to be a flash through. Kill from McSmithy and Flame to the top side. These guys are Bash brothers this series.
Yeah. Obviously, TSM wanted to use their push there to go for the invade, but Flame heads right over, and the quick collapse from Immortals earns them a kill in exchange for that red buff. Still, first turret gold ends up going over to the Caitlyn Lulu combo.
Ole low, what a teleport in here. That's going to be Bjergsen if he can get the Justice Punch in. They decide to back out with Pobelter on the fast roam down river. Mid lane now to Immortals.
Whew, yeah, relentless bottom lane focus from TSM, and they are able to capitalize on that objective. Uh-oh, sitting on a ward here, though. Doesn't look like there is any sort of trap that will happen, though, because the Immortals have everybody else far away, so no bad things will come to Double FO Biofrost, even though they are sitting on that ward.
Interesting. They just left that wave for Pobelter in mid. Bjergsen actually gets to clean up 2 big ones now. Bot push coming in 93 to 92, even there. 86 to 64 is Cody-san falling slightly behind NCS. But Ole has been picking up a bit of those with his autos and soul flares. Looks like they're just scaling up double. If lucky for him, he was, well, not lucky for him, but good for him, he was able to actually pick up that kill. They just got onto Cody-san, so he's not relegated to just assists as the support. Or AD carry, I should say, being a support.
TSM.
And the 2K gold lead for now.
Yeah, they're sitting on the 1.5, but looks like Smithy's heading down bottom again. They're very well the focus down bottom, and almost all members rotating. Teleport is available for Flame, but not for Hauntzer. Smithy's headed around back. Will they pull the trigger?
Pobelter's actually playing guard between Biofrost and Bjergsen right now. They have just traded spots, so TSM has the way to get down. They have to be careful on the side of Immortals now.
Yeah, every time Bjergsen goes out of vision, he could go to the bottom side. So Smithy out of position.
They could be able to kill Svenskeren very fast. Bjergsen's with the hero's entrance is able now to get Cody-san. Remember, just got that flash back. He's got to use the summoners to get out, and TSM is trying to huddle for safety under the turret. Flame trying to choose a target. First one is going to be Biofrost. Biofrost goes down to the hands of Pobelter, and Flame is chasing the team out. Scat of the week onto Svenskeren as they take him down, and even without the fast collapse of Pobelter, a great fight from Immortals.
So Hauntzer's teleport had come off of cooldown during that delay, but TSM made the call as a team to keep Hauntzer pushing. And in the end, they are going to trade a turret here over as far as the objective, but the extra kills going over to Immortals get them right back into this game. Hauntzer does stick around, and they will end up getting that turret, but Immortals are pretty happy about the way that one turned out, considering.
Kills basically around the board. Ole sticking with the assists, so everybody's going to be able to hit some nice item spikes coming up here towards this 15-minute mark on the game, and gold is completely even.
Now what you have to do is look forward as well and remember that there is that teleport discrepancy for the next play.
Yep.
All right, so here we think that there's going to be a huge collapse on the Smithy with the Galio, and Bjergsen does come in, but the focus immediately turns on to Sven Skaren, and it's a lot of damage. Cody Sun does have to end up burning his flash, but again, that teleport looks like it's not on cooldown from the team fight UI here, but that thing is moving very quickly, so not sure which one we can trust. In the end, Flame and Immortals do pick up the extra kills. It went from about a quarter to done very quickly there. Gonna have to call in.
Seeing the Zanya's coming up now for Hauntzer, waiting for a big equalizer to actually turn one of these fights around. TSM has kept the lanes spread so far until we just saw that kind of foray in the bot lane. Sven Bjergsen holding mid, Doublelift trying to farm up and get a lead as the AD carry. Infinity had finished for him against Blade of the Rune King as we start to see these core items come out. Flame with a good push on top. That will just crash into the turret. We'll see if he has any extra time to work around the map.
All right, I confirmed with observers that was a spectator bug for that teleport during the replay. So his teleport was on cooldown. So again, that was a choice. And the second part of this choice, you now have to look into the future. For both teams, they should be planning around what are TSM going to choose to use this teleport advantage that they now have on Hauntzer for. The bottom side has to be so careful. And it kind of means that because of that last play, this Mountain Dragon is largely in TSM's favor. If Flame shows top at this wave that Hauntzer just pushed in, TSM and Immortals both know that TSM has a lot of priority there on the bottom side of the map. And if
It's a little scary.
push up those waves, then they could move right into that dragon.
It looks like there's going to be some pressure down there. Contest is slowly coming in. This makes it scary for Immortals. But there's not too much catch potential here on the side of TSM, so Ole is just going to keep vision and let the team work vision towards the top.
Yep, and that dragon pretty much won by the decision TSM make to give up bottom lane, let those kills come through, and they still hold on to the teleport. Plus, Hauntzer was waiting around Rift Herald. They got the Scuttle Crab, so they don't give Rift Herald over for the Drake, and it's pretty much a pure objective victory there.
Blue buff just taken over by Xmithie. He'll hover top side for a moment here with Ole on his backside. Good scuttle grab already by TSM allows them to figure out what's going on in the situation. We saw Hauntzer do that. So Immortals come up a little bit of nothing there, but get the hold of lead so far. Make sure they grab one of these turrets that they're facing. Get an even bigger one. TSM already has top and bottom down. Once they grab that mid, the wards go forward, and it seems like a team with Monster being able to fight in the jungle. Everybody coming in on Bjergsen's ultimate. It'd be a scary place to fight on for Immortals.
Yep, TSM have pretty much all their tools ready at the moment. Adaptive Helm done this early for Bjergsen means that he wants so badly to take the Syndra ultimate. If Pobelter ever wastes his ultimate on Bjergsen, it will do very, very little damage. In addition to, you know, reducing each of the sphere damage from his ultimate, he's also got the extra magic shield and has built pure MR. So Pobelter definitely going to look for some other options, whereas Bjergsen can just kind of charge headlong into the fight. Once again, though, TSM have Doublelift up on top, pushing the wave. Bio and Sven Skaren trying to screen in the jungle.
Dark Seal for Ole. I like the idea. A little more healing, a little more damage.
Yeah, you can rack up a lot of assists on champions like Karma, and Janna is one that we would see it on often, you know, the Medjai's Jannas, because they don't die too often, and they get a lot of assists through shields and healing. Same theory here with the ring, and not as big of a cost, because the ring sells back like most regular items instead of the reduced cost of Doran's items selling back.
It's quite nice. No devalue. Slight help for a push there, just going to cause Pobelter one more sphere. Get himself some positioning, and this is Immortals saying, all right, feels like it's been a little quiet on the map. This may be a time to get some wards in, but they do it carefully with a few members of the team here. But to make movement on the top side, Immortals are looking for the top turret.
3 members moving up, but Hauntzer recalling right now. Everybody now has teleports ready. A lot of pings going down. They're definitely sniffing out this play. Won't be caught by surprise, as you can see TSM moving their defenses in place. Oh, teleport behind. They're going to go for the pins.
Got to be very careful how much this happens in a choke point. That equalizer is going to be huge this fight. Here comes Hauntzer, and that is Cody-san kicked right back into the frying pan. Hauntzer's actually in the pit now with Rift Herald. They may start to focus him. If they get stuck in the pit, it might put Immortals in a bad spot. Equalizer cuts off Flame inside, but he can slice and dice out. Xmithie's the focus, but Bjergsen is just about out of mana. With the Hero's entrance, that's about all he has. And TSM is calling off for low health, low mana. Same thing for Immortals.
Whew. 1 kill being traded over here as a really good focus there from Svenskeren. He sees Cody-san out of place, goes directly for him with the kick, and they're able to get him with Hauntzer's flash into the Baron Pit as well. And then even though there's decent terrain for Immortals to take that fight afterwards, because their AD carry is down, they don't have the DPS to punish TSM at all, and TSM get away with this single kill. Here's the collapse. Both teleports are used. Svenskeren goes directly for Cody-san. Gets the dash into the kick. It was a decent interrupt by Xmithie with his Gragas ultimate, so that Sven could not complete his Q, but even so, Hauntzer flashed over and was able to complete the kill, giving TSM control of this Rift Herald pit.
A very nice way to break this game wide open, as even as has been. Zhonya's finished up from that Seeker's arm guard being just a few seconds ago. A big fight there for TSM. It really helps to get some pivotal items in their inventory.
Yeah, and especially for Doublelift. This Caitlyn is going to put out a tremendous amount of damage here. Early Infinity Edge done. Should be able to complete his Zeal now. And Hurricane soon to follow.
Quickly put 2 more daggers in. Attack speed abound for Doublelift at this point. It's actually matching, what, 1.3. Cody, obviously, 1.5 with his Blade of the Rune King. But, like you said, the Infinity Edge is the headshots. If they keep Doublelift alive with this Lulu comp now, and Bjergsen, Svenskeren on the front line, does not spell good things for Immortals.
Definitely true. Dragon coming up next will be an Infernal, so this could actually provoke some more fights around the bottom side of the map. That Scuttle Crab becomes more important now. Get some extra speed around the Infernal Drake. Not going to go for it here for Cody-san. Looks like Xmithie will slide in there to get it for Immortals. No focus on the Scuttle Crab. Come on, where's the appreciation? 20 seconds on Infernal Drake. No setup being done here.
So far, mid lane push, that'll re-wave. But I think your Scuttle is going to be left out until the fight happens, Kobe. It might happen over the Scuttle. The result being the Dragon for the win. Here we go. Now they're going to head down. Maybe they're just afraid of it. You're going to have to take it with more members, Kobe. It is dangerous.
But I want to set up this play because this is something we were looking for. Rift Herald was spawned topside by TSM, so they're trying to draw focus of Immortals away. But because they were so far away and no vision, Immortals just move in and take the Drake. So there is a Rift Herald that TSM left up on the top side that's going to pressure that turret. But Infernal Drake is a big prize that Immortals got. TSM are trading it for multiple turret pressure, though. Will they be able to get up and defend their Herald? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, coming around behind him. Xmithie wants to pause this fight. They know that Equalizer may be far away for now, and Svenskeren's low. The entrance for Bjergsen, he can obviously stay in here for a bit, and with his movements, says the team is going to come, but they're going to the top side now, as they have found Flame, and now it's a 4v1 for Bjergsen. Flame's going to push 3 out himself.
Hauntzer's teleport this time not on cooldown. They don't even have the option of getting Hauntzer to even up the numbers in this fight. So Bjergsen going in, he was tanking with no DPS behind him, and Immortals go for the chase.
Oh, it's not going to stop either. Skull Scatter, and there's the piercing arrow from Cody-san. Eagle Eye. Just the last bit of mana, and the blue buff is transferred over as well. Immortals picking up things here and there, and do they now go for Baron? The Equalizer can change things here.
Some disastrous mid-game shot calling from TSM, and now they're faced with Immortals on the Baron. They do have the Equalizer ready, though.
He's got a Zhonya's as well. Once they pull off, he's got 2 ways to disengage this. There it is. Throws down the red carpet, and we'll see if Immortals wants this one in or out. So far, they're heading home, and Baron stopped by Haunter and the rest of TSM.
Ooh. Yeah, Equalizer comes in big there. Doublelift is still up, so there's plenty of damage threat, and Immortals know they have to pull off, but TSM do get 1 kill back for themselves. Look at this collapse. Smithy, again, the playmaker here, goes right in for the team. They don't hesitate, and Bjergsen's tanking, but there's no way they can fight their way out of that 4 versus 5. Haunter pushing on the bottom lane, no teleport available. So Bjergsen, as tanky as he is, 4 versus 1, just not the odds he would like.
It's good to see you take that long to go down. Then your team can kind of assess that next fight if you do go in and they're with you.
Look
but
at
yeah,
this play,
it
though.
does not end. The 1-2 punch.
And stun afterwards from Pobelter to set up that snipe. In the end, though, it was just 2 kills, right? They killed Bjergsen, and then they got that 1 snipe on his Svenskeren. So TSM running around the map a bit, but it wasn't the biggest of deal that went over to Immortals. The big thing was the Infernal Drake that they got to pick up there beforehand.
Back from base, spending all that gold. Hurricane now, or Runaan's, yep, finished up for Doublelift, as well as a fast QSS there right after. Keep himself as safe as possible. And that Runaan's was finished up with Cody Sun at the same time, so the AD carries all doing a bit of different DPS in different ways, matching in those item spikes. And again, even gold here. Top turret keeps pushing back towards Immortals. Flames had to respect that. They can get this mid or top down, Immortals will be in a much better position.
Cody Sun does have flash, but he's a little bit exposed at the moment. And I want to give a little bit more respect to the TSM engage.
It's like, yeah? What else?
Yeah, Pobelter actually running a little bit low on mana. So Immortals should play defensively here. They do have Flame splitting bottom with teleport available, trying to get their side wave pushing. At the moment, TSM have some good items completed, with Doublelift getting his Quicksilver Sash on top of his core combination of the crit multipliers there. Has a possibility of out DPSing Cody Sun in the fight, but Smithy's been very good with his engages, so still has to watch out there.
Big stalemate now. Team's going to be afraid to fight each other until that one big objective comes up. Right now it's Vision. Oh, nice denial of damage there. A little fun between the junglers as they start getting more wards deeper in. Pobelter knows he may have to come back in a second. He's going to meet Bjergsen in the jungle.
Yeah, 2v1 for Pobelter on the top side. It looks like he decided to take it.
Very, very risky for Pobelter to kick away, but the Q had already hit, so Resonating Strike can't come through. Bjergsen now in a 2v1. The damage is following through, and you remember the Adaptive Helm slows some of it, but there's still enough members of Immortals once again here. As Bjergsen and the team get themselves into a messy fight, Haunter Zanyas is going to allow Doublelift in the fight. He's on the outside. Flame flashes forward, but he gets knocked away from the explosive cast. Doublelift still alive, trying to kite the fight, but he goes down. And Immortals are just on every member of TSM.
TSM spread out again, and they just get completely destroyed this time around. There is no DPS up. It's only up to Svenskeren.
Yeah.
Can he pull off a Miracle Steal? They can't win the fight, so it's just about... They're not even going to risk it. Not even going in. That will be Baron for Immortals.
They don't have their wards or trinkets. The sweeper's down. It would cost them even more if these two were to fall. Immortals take a 27-minute Baron. And we'll see the fight again.
Oh my goodness, Immortals just coming out to play.
Pobelter looked dead to rights here.
Dodges the Q with his Ghost, so the extra damage isn't there. And it buys time for Flame to come in. Even though the Adaptive Helm reduces the ult damage, Flame is doing physical, and he's able to finish up the kill here with the extra Ignite from Ole roaming, and then Smithy once again. Immortals slightly quicker on the rotation to this team fight. Able to pick him out, then Doublelift nets backwards into the team. It didn't really matter, but it is a little bit of a fumble. All right.
Now onto a Dragon. Very scary. They bring themselves into a 50-50 fight after getting Baron. Hopefully, Immortals want this to go in their favor. And if Smithy goes down immediately, Flame on the backside makes TSM move a little differently, but they get into a good position here to see the fight once again. And they do lose a Baroned Up member on the side of Immortals.
Yeah, Smithy smites as he's dying, able to secure the second Inferno, which is very big for Immortals. TSM almost able to move in and steal that one, but denied once again.
Fight after fight. We're just going to be in replay mode the rest of the game. Let's go.
All right, they're charging up for it. Svenskeren moves in. It's pretty much an even contest here. But Smithy, right before he dies, gets it off.
The pivotal smite. Feeling comfortable on this Gragas. Feeling comfortable on this Immortals squad recently, and what a showing here the first week. As they continue now with a game over TSM to push down mid. Bjergsen coming through the backside. Here's the teleport in. Remember, his initiation is the Durant taunt. Justice Fist onto Pobelter. He has no way out. Flash not even used because he didn't have time.
That is a big kill for TSM. Let's see what they can do with it. Baron buff is still going to empower these minions and impede the press here of TSM as they try and get the turret afterwards, but that is a big amount of the wave clear of Immortals. Cody's son now is going to have to do most of the work on the minions. Baron not speeding up the minions. There goes Sven.
Double kick. Looks like Flame could be the next one. Slice out. He does have a bit of that rage, so he can get a good heal back on Cult. Smithy on the right side, but Svenskeren ready to go in with the team, ready to get more, and if they had capitalized there, Baron would have been a waste for Immortals.
Yeah, TSM really wanted to prize some more advantages out of that teleport. But as good as that play looked, it was only one kill going over back to their side.
Things settled down again on the side of Immortals. They're just going to clean up these camps.
What a series here from Immortals. Pretty much everybody expecting them to come in here and have a very rough time with TSM. Bringing Doublelift back, starting out the split very strong so far. But man, Immortals, so much cleaner.
So the thing I mentioned yesterday at the end of the day is you think with changes and coming into teams that it might alter that first 5 weeks for them, put them in maybe an even 500 position or not allow certain types of wins. But here to see Immortals come and be able to take a game possibly off of TSM, already have their first victory.
So TSM saw that Pobelter was on the bottom side, and they really wanted to force that fight, but unable to grab anybody because the flashes are down, and Pobelter is able to roam back up, so that opening closes a bit there for TSM.
Pobelter looking for clearing. The team confident that they can hopefully protect these wards as well as place them down. Bjergsen's going to be the hit here just to give him a bit of a distraction. However, Hauntzer and the rest of the team may want this equalizer used over on 2 members as the turret goes down, but Immortals is now able to route behind the rest of TSM. Hauntzer doesn't want to fully enter the fight with Svenskeren and Bjergsen. And now again, they are stretched. Pobelter on the backside of the fight. Doublelift goes down immediately, even with Wild Growth, and now they're trying to recuperate. Bjergsen coming in as Svenskeren and Hauntzer die at the same time. Bjergsen's now on the ground, and Immortals come out huge from the top lane fight.
4 kills, and they're gonna look to take an inhibitor off of this one.
It's 40 seconds, Kobe. They got a wave right there.
They might even go for some Nexus turrets after this. 25 seconds on Doublelift. Biofrost used the Wild Growth on himself, but it wouldn't have mattered. They got obliterated in that fight.
Looks like they're just going to go for this. Trying to hit one out. On the other side is Biofrost, but Nexus turrets now, 20 seconds, 8 on the Doublelift. They could be going for it. A focus coming in from Ole onto Biofrost to lock him down. That's the damage onto the Nexus. Immortals in 2 games takes down TSM.
What an upset from Immortals, 2-0, the defending champions. Who won the trade now?
It was a question, wasn't it? We'll see what Twitter has to say about that one. But wow, what a game coming in from all of the members of Immortals, from top to bottom, flame making moves. Cody, Sun, and Ole in the bot lane as well to hold off Doublelift and Biofrost and Pobelter as well, seeming a bit more energized this split. Now they all have Xmithie on the team.
Yeah, I mean, so rarely do you actually feel like both teams got advantages out of a trade.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, can't both win. both of them are finding a lot of success, and it really does look to be the case.
They got their cake, their ice cream, and they can eat it all.
That man right there, no hesitation. Great Gragas play, big initiation.
The stunt and the rest of the guys.
Incredible to see the resurgence of the happiness in this team. You know, the atmosphere definitely looks a lot better.
Absolutely. I mean, you go from the split they had in the beginning to not being able to find that result again. It's kind of just ripped out from under you like a rug, and then you're able to find it back. A few small changes. And it seems like there's something they can latch onto here with why this is happening. It's not a, oh man, they're coming in good, but it seems like there's no real reason to it. There is a reason to it this time, and they can keep advancing on that. TSM with a victory and a loss coming in to the start of the split here. Seems like those late game fights that they used to have so much prowess in is where they're being kind of discombobulated.
Yeah, a lot of rotations across the map. Very quick and clean from Immortals. The head bump from the team. Ole there from support, bringing out a Bard, bringing out the Karma, and becoming a big factor for these guys. A huge factor. With the biggest thing, you know, you talked about, Riv.
Absolutely.
It's not like you don't see where these improvements are coming from. It's the playmaking, constant playmaking from all of those guys. Smithy with the Gragas, you know, Ole with multiple champions there on the support, and Pobelter himself just looks completely renewed.
And to look at where this team could actually go this season, they haven't shown too much in these comps. They keep Flame on either kind of the Shen or the Jarvan Renekton, right? You're going to expect a lot from this guy. It's the teleport plays where he comes in. They each show a little bit more than what they have already. So there's something to see for Immortals here this season. They could do very well. To break down that 2-0 series and this week from Immortals, let's send it off to our analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Riv. Immortals, I mean, hey, at the beginning of the day, you said you were cautiously optimistic for a team like CLG, which started off week 1 here with a 2-0. How you feeling about Immortals?
I got some full-blown optimism. No
There
caution
we
right
go.
there. I
That's
really
what I
like
like.
how they look, the way they're winning in particular. Like, you 2-0 TSM in late game situations where you're even or slightly behind and sometimes, that's super impressive to me.
I think that's the thing, right? It's the way in which they're winning. It's not that, hey, they're just blowing people out of the water with maybe some really impressive plays early, and now, hey, we've got a 10K gold advantage. That means we can't lose. Instead, it's even in this game more specifically, the way it started. Early kills going over to TSM, and yet Immortals is still able to find their way back into it.
Yeah, I mean, Smithy gets an early gank in the bot side. TSM responds right away, gets 2 more kills down there with the help of Sven and some early dives. And from there, you think, like, okay, Doublelift's way ahead. They're going to smash bot lane. This is going to be the end of this game, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And then 12:45 into the game, Immortals turning a bot lane fight 3-0. Let's take a look at this one again. I'm just very impressed at the plays that this team is willing to make when you remove possibly their most aggressive player from the roster.
Well played by Smithy, too. Kind of in the back line, going in and out of the fight, flashing the taunt, getting out of the Gragas ultimate, and eventually they get enough poke damage down that they pin the rest of TSM into the turret. Flame goes in there, really well played, picking out on Biofrost to focus out, as well as allowing the rest of the team to focus on the frontline members.
And I tell you, the communication has to be better. It is clearly better because, again, bringing Flame down for a full 5-man dive there, that is something that the old Immortals would not do.
Or if they did, it would be really discoordinated. We're like, you know,
Right.
he's keeping in late, or he's too early.
They only get 1 kill, or maybe they trade
it
1
gets
for
turned
1 and all
completely.
that.
Who knows how bad it could go? But with a lot of these plays with Immortals throughout this game, it is well coordinated and it is well thought out.
Now, this isn't to say that TSM played extraordinarily poorly either. Again, I mean, this was a close game. Of course, they won a few fights, which at times was making us question again, all right, well, will TSM pull this out given their composition? Will perform in the late game, and yet Immortals does not let up.
I think that's the big thing, is that you can say, like, I think TSM looked like they're playing well. The comp is weird in the sense that it's not something you would expect to see out of TSM, where Galio is a little bit of a playmaker, but he's mostly wave clear and then transitioning into kind of setup, as opposed to, like, I'm going to drop the damage, where usually you want Bjergsen on that damage dealer who's going to be able to solo carry the game. Galio a lot more setup. The team was based a lot around Doublelift carrying, and a couple times in fights he kind of got taken out right away.
I think that's twofold, right? Galio's just one, a strong champion, so it kind of makes sense that we would still see it in the mid lane. And then 2, I think it points to the fact that, hey, Doublelift's back on the roster. So TSM, once again, returning to that kind of place of comfort where they're saying we can win from bot, mid, or top. I feel like in the Turtle iteration, less confident winning from the bot lane and focusing more on Bjergsen and Hauntzer being their true carries.
Yeah.
Seems like, again, they're trying to reach for that strategic diversity here in the early weeks of the split.
I think that could be the case where they're not necessarily looking at this series as a must-win series, and you see them picking their completely like, all right, Bjergsen's on Syndra or Talia or something, and we're going to try and smash this series. It did feel like they were more willing to have a game plan where they put him on Galio to see, like, let's try this out. They swapped out the Fiora for Rumble to get a little bit more team fighting potentially, but it still didn't look like TSM was 100% confident on the comp, but still, like we said, not playing bad.
Yeah, absolutely. But to that end, it's rare that I find myself saying, at least within the context of the North American LCS, that TSM is wildly out of position or it looks like they're getting caught and look how they're getting taken advantage of. But that's what happens in the final fight here, 31-30 into the game. Immortals finds a beautiful pick here in the top side of the map. I mean, that first tier turret is still alive and they're going to end the game because of this.
Yeah, and you see TSM kind of overcommitting, trying to chase down onto the members of Immortals here, going really hard onto Smithy and Flame. It opens up the backline to find an opening here on Doublelift.
There
There's the
comes
last one in.
Pobelter.
Yep, and there we say you have this protected Doublelift comp. Well, he's dead at the start of it, and that basically means you cannot win this team fight unless Hauntzer has the most godlike ultimate you've ever seen. Not really the case here, and it was kind of the fact that Immortals kites out TSM, who want to be really grouped up. It opens up the backline, and then you see Pobelter get a great flank.
And that's the kind of playmaking that I think Pobelter now perhaps feels empowered to do, where he's saying, hey, while this fight is occurring up here near that first tier turret, I'm going to recognize the win condition of TSM being that Caitlyn in the late game. Well, great, I'm Syndra. I'm built to deal with that carry. Let me just swing around the back here and actually pull the fight, out for the squad. Of course, he could have just grouped top and the game elongates another 10 minutes, and then maybe they don't even win the game entirely.
Right. I mean, if you slow down too much and TSM starts setting up control, they get a Baron with all these Kate traps, these kinds of things can happen. But if you get them in the flank like that, making sure that they are spread out, the Galio is not instantly there to taunt or anything like that. That's really the case. And Immortals did have some things going for them. They had good dragon control as well, something Smithy's known for. I think he got a smite steal over this game, grabbing an Infernal away from TSM.
Yep.
And I think Smithy deserves a lot of credit just because when he was on CLG, he often had good early games, but a lot of people pinpointed that more to the coaching staff and the team always having good game plans,
right,
and not necessarily Smithy's role in those game plans, where he's always out there executing them. And this time around, again, a good early game. Right,
so whether or not the plan is coming from him or it's just in the moment kind of decision making, it's clearly working out. We mentioned Pobelter brings the damage. Player of the game going to Flame, though. I think a lot of it is just because we're seeing kind of the development of his ability to join the team and work with the team in a more cohesive manner right here off the bat.
I think that's the big thing, because when we saw that big bot lane dive in the early game that brought things kind of back in Immortals' favor, Hauntzer did not have teleport. Flame matching up very well in the 1v1 versus what many would say is the best top laner in the league, and then able to outplay him in team play as well over the course of this game. So huge performance out of Flame.
All right, so as his big performance out of Flame, and he picks that up. We're going to toss it now over to Captain Flower, who's standing by with an interview with Pobelter.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am here with the mid lane star of Immortals, Pobelter himself. Now, to start things off, you have personally had a phenomenal couple of performances throughout the series this weekend. How have you made that happen? What are the personal goals and just habits that you're forming for yourself to allow you to be this big playmaker?
I started, throughout the offseason, I was just practicing really hard, and I was able to hit rank 1 in solo queue and just like trying really hard every game, even in solo queue. And so I think that's a pretty big part of it. And then actually another big part is I keep eating really like good foods right before I eat and go on stage. So I'll go out to like a restaurant right by our house and have a really good meal before we play. And I think it actually helps me focus a lot more.
That's an awesome habit. Keep that in mind, you guys. It's not just grinding on the Rift. You got to do the good stuff outside as well. And speaking of the things outside of Summoner's Rift itself, one of the big discussions going into Summer Split was the jungler trade between Immortals and CLG. Now that you guys have Xmithie on the team, how has that changed the dynamic? How has that changed the team play? Just talk to me a little bit about the different feel of the team as a whole now.
Xmithie is actually really good. I'm so happy to play with him. He's improved so much since I played with him on CLG, and he was already good before. So he's just really good at, we kind of joke that we're like all mechanics, no brain, and then Xmithie is the brain. So he just kind of leads us around, keeps us focused on whatever our plan is. If we want to go for something stupid, he says, no, don't do it, or like, okay, you can do it. But yeah, he just has a really good mind for the big picture. And so yeah, I think it's a really good fit for our team.
Sounds like he's doing a good job keeping everybody together, keeping everything in check. Now, to make sure that Immortals keeps this momentum going, keeps itself in check as a group, and extends this on to another smashing split similar to what we've seen in the past, what's ahead for you guys? What's the next step to make sure you keep this up?
I think right now we'll probably just stick to what we're doing because it worked really well for us this weekend. We had a pretty tough weekend coming into P1 and TSM, so we weren't sure how we were going to do, but I think we'll gain some confidence from this and then be able to kind of motivate us in our practice going forward. And actually right now our coach, Song, is in Korea right now finalizing his visa process. And so he stayed up, it's like 3 a.m. in Korea right now, probably closer to 5 a.m. right now, and he stayed up like the whole night preparing the band pick and making sure he was still up so that we could prepare. And he also has a really good mind for the game, so really happy to work with him too.
Now that's dedication right there, staying up all night to make sure the team is doing what they need to do. And when you take down 2 of the top 3 teams from last split, you guys have got to be feeling good. Again, big congratulations to you. Looking forward to seeing more plays out of you and the rest of the Immortals boys as the split goes on. One more time for Pobelter. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise. We are going to be back momentarily now with more LCS action. Coming up next, it's FlyQuest versus Dignitas. Don't you go anywhere. We are going to be right back.
A few more shots. One left from Cody's son. First blood onto Double Lift, and Biofrost running for his life. TSM is trying to huddle for safety under the turret. Flame trying to choose a target. First one is going to be Biofrost. Biofrost goes down to the hands of Pobelter, and Flame is chasing the team out. Scat of the week onto Svenskeren as they take him down.
Okay.
Okay, I can don't flash. Hey, Caitlyn, can you guys see Caitlyn? Hey, Caitlyn.
Caitlyn.
Is that?
I got him.
Pobelter on the backside of the fight. Double Lift goes down immediately, even with Wild Growth, and now they're trying to recuperate. Bjergsen coming in as Svenskeren and Haunter die at the same time. Bjergsen's now on the ground, and Immortals come out huge from the top lane fight. Immortals in 2 games takes down TSM.